for discussing the levy. All right. So I think that we have gone over quite a bit of things. If there's any final arrangements or final edits, or final inclusion that anybody would like to add in anything, I think now's the time to do it. But I think the most important thing is that we set the actual levy rate for the next tax cycle, for the next 5 years. So it has provided us the breakdown of what it would be currently for 104.79%. What it would be with option A for 5% reduction. Option B is 7.5% reduction, and option C an 10 point reduction. So that's where we're at. That's what we'll have left at the projected decreased tax collections after reductions. What we'll be left with in regards to option A, B, and C. I personally, I know I've talked about going 10 to 14%, but I think that might be a little bit much now. So in my opinion, I think, well, first off, is there any other changes anybody would like to make to the levy call?
Option A is what percentage?
5% reduction. It goes from 104% to 99%. Option B is 7.5%.
The actual call is the same,
Yeah.
like, all the changes that's been discussed. Your bottom line is what you need to look at, right?
Yeah,
Down
you
below.
gotta look at the bottom line.
The bottom line, yeah.
And C is 10%?
C is 10%. Yes.
Wait a minute, I thought you said,
Yeah.
It's up,
Check-
it's up, look on the
This one right here.
Oh, but I was
Yeah,
looking
this
at the
report
bottom
right here.
of these things.
Yeah, but she's not.
Yeah, it's these numbers right down.
That's yes,
Check the
but the
decreased tax
percentage,
collections after the reductions.
the percentages up here at the top.
Yes, correct.
Look at your levy call down at the
B
bottom,
is
and that's where it's going to be affecting.
Correct. Yes,
Yes.
and she has that listed on the options.
Yes.
okay. Now we'll look at, what about the place?
So, I don't know the other changes that I'd like to make. I personally think that we shouldn't go more, at this point, I don't think we should go more than 7.5. That's my fault. It doesn't matter. I just, and I do know that the current elections are more than what they have been over the last couple of years, due to some flush well production and due to some other things that, tax collections and property values that have increased. So I think,
Okay. My question is, looking at it, when it says that it includes a potentially $1,000 across the board raise for our employees, so everyone there at 7.5, it's 500 across the board raise, and the last one is no raise at all. When you say $1,000 across the board, is that for each year of the levy? Or is that for total?
One time, $1,000 will be added July 1, 2026 to the base salary.
So it would be
And
for.
so they would get it, the 1,000 all along, but it's not gonna be 1,000, it's not gonna be double it.
1,000.
Because you're gonna take that $1,000 out every year,
Yes.
out of that levy to cover that.
And the other is
Yes.
500.
Yes.
Yeah.
So so the base salary is 45,000 right now, July 1 and 26, it would be 46,000. July 1 and 27, 46.
Plus the medical allotment is increasing by 500.
Yeah,
as well.
that was fixed.
Okay, what is it in 48?
46, same amount for 5 years. Right?
So that means,
It just depends on the percentage, how much you can get. How much you reduce?
That's adding down to the base pay. And then there's increments each year that we can get, that would get that down each year.
Your question was whether they get $5,000 raise at the end of the 5 years, is that right, Mr. Rhodes?
Basically, that's what to me, it would come to
We're
that.
getting 1,000 every.
So it's only $200 a year then.
No.
Now you know why I worked with Moan County.
Well,
So-
yeah, so it'll go
It's
from
one-
45 to 46, but the next year it'll still be
Still be
46.
46.
So they're not losing anything.
Yes, correct.
They gained $1,000 that one time, and then it carries
Over the course
through.
of 5
They
years.
currently have a supplemental on
But
there.
that doesn't
Which
include
is
any of the
adding
other
1,000
supplements,
to that.
doesn't include medical, allowance they're getting.
When it comes down
It's just a
Optical
levy.
dental.
year, that's what it amounts to.
What's that?
No,
It's
no,
1,000
They would get
a year.
$1,000 a year then.
But it doesn't accumulate.
But it's the same thousand.
right.
Yeah, it's the same
It's not-
base
yeah, it's
salary.
not-
Same
it's-
salary.
yes, It's not gonna take you from 46 to 49.
Losing 1,000.
Correct.
Mhm. It's the same thing as when you get a pay raise, and it stays that way.
And in our budget, we have to make sure we allocate that they get that 1,000 every year. That's why it's showing that amount.
See, that's
We have to
what
make
you're showing
sure-
me off.
Okay, so I give you $1,000, all right? I'm gonna keep giving you that $1,000. I'm not gonna give you an additional $1,000 on top of that $1,000. So it's just gonna be $1,000 over the course for 5 years, right? It's not gonna be
So if
1,000.
I wanted to look at it over 5 years, I'm looking at, really, you're giving me 1,000 up front. Really, it's only $200 for 5 years.
Year one, you get $1,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Year
Yeah, but
two, you get $1,000. Year three, you get $1,000. Year four, you get $1,000. Year five, you get $1,000.
But it's the same $1,000 that you gave me the first year.
Exactly.
correct.
So then you're, so you-
Technically, it adds up to $5,000.
Yes, it is.
But it's not like 1,000 year one, then 2,000 year two, then 3,000 year three.
It's like the.
Over 5 years, it is
You
5,000.
just keep getting that 1,000, Mr. Hope. And realistically, at the end of the year, or in those 5 years, you've accumulated $5,000 from that. You're not going to go 1,000 the first year, add another 1,000 the next year, third year, add another 1,000 on top of each of those 1,000. At the end of the 5th year, in a sense, you gain $5,000 from that. You didn't lose any, of course, but that's what it basically means.
I'm just along for the ride. Whatever, we come up with, I'll go with it.
What's it, I think what we really have to look at is what does the public that's out here paying all the taxes with the businesses? What, do they see a 5% decrease? Do they see a 7.5%? Are they looking at a 10? What are those folks?
So
Is anybody out there
Probably not
talking to
looking at
anybody?
anything, really.
No, I'm,
No, they are.
they're gonna get, yeah, they're gonna get some reduction. They're gonna get some kind of reduction from the levy rates. Yes, and if we reduce it by 7%, our collections are only gonna be reduced by 7.5%. So they're still gonna have to pay their taxes, right? But what we're going to collect for the excess levy is listed at the bottom in the green. That's what we would end up collecting. So it'd be 7% less. So there would be a reduction, or 7.5% less, or 5% less, or 10% like that. But it would be, there would be a reduction. So if anybody has any comments or questions, now would be the time to ask or discuss it, because I would say that we need to set the levy rate tonight so that they can get it out to the,
So what's the pros and cons of A and B? Because we've already decided, I think, we don't want C.
the amount of money that we collect, the amount of money we can pay teachers for increases.
And you don't go back, you'll
Right.
never, once you make that decision, it's set.
It's set for 5 years.
Yeah,
Right.
and you've never really increased.
You won't change it. Now, what will happen is as property values increase, the money that we collect will increase as well. So if you have a property value of $1,000 in year one, that property value can come back at $2,000 in year two, or $3,000 in year three. So your collection will be based off of the increase in the property value of that time frame. So then we will ultimately be collecting more money, which is one of the reasons I think it's important to take a look at lowering the tax rate, because we will be collecting more money. That's the, I call it the dip and switch.
Well, but you and I will be paying more money.
No,
We will not, we will be paying less
We'll
money,
be paying less.
Well, your taxes will be.
taxes will be reduced.
For the excess levy.
You're just public also, we're all,
Yes.
we all pay
You'll
taxes.
pay less
Everybody's
tax.
gonna get a reduction if we reduce, if we reduce the amount.
so which is more,
Oh, yes.
which is more pleasing all the way around? Which we encourage voting.
The amounts for the potential raises, that's what I am projecting that we could swing with the levy rate. Just because I don't have anything on seal, doesn't mean we couldn't potentially get raises sometime. That's where we have to evaluate our operational efficiency, so like making sure that we are keeping our teachers and our student ratios in sync. How many extra positions we're carrying over over our state aid formula, all of those positions. I know that we closed several schools, I mean, before I got here. That helps to shore up our financial solidarity. So just because it may not be written here, doesn't mean it couldn't happen.
Depending on the collections, the number of
It's
staff
gonna be a
we have.
step, yeah.
It's gonna determine the wording of the actual levy call is gonna be determined.
That
It
word
doesn't say
potential
anything
is tough
about-
there for the folks that are in our system.
But if we say we're gonna give them $1,000, that's all we can give them if we get more in collections and have the ability to raise it. That's, yeah.
Leave it very vague as it says, where it talks about the employment, retention of qualified teachers, student support, service administrative personnel by maintaining competitive salaries and benefits. It's just open to future conversations. That's also why the wording's not up in,
I think our staff would like to know.
I'm sure they will.
If you're gonna do a selling point, you do that, we're not gonna trust that it's,
I'm sure they will.
I mean,
That's basically what
down
it's
here,
wording.
right? They're gonna
That's
want to
basically, that's
know.
basically.
We're gonna get 500, we're gonna get 1,000.
Maybe the wording potentially $1,000 or more could be.
A minimum.
I'd say minimum.
Well, I think I myself personally, I'd rather roll the dice if there's a possibility of them getting more money. I'd rather give them $1,000 and do the levy rate of 7.5.
Well, those are,
Well, you can't.
those two are together.
You can't. The 7.5% is the $500.
But the
I
wording,
understand it is what it says it is, and I'd feel better that if we gave them $1,000 and then lower the rate to 7.5.
You don't have your computer.
I
I was gonna say,
know that, I know that
happened, Whitney.
the
I know
wording
that, I know the minimum.
What's that?
Budget 500
The wording
is done
needs to be
with the
changed.
7.5 at a minimum. We really won't know until we see what happens with the rest of how everything falls out in the next couple of years. We have the consolidations, and then we also have another charter school. So we have things that are,
Your system,
there's a lot of unknowns.
Well, I know there's a lot of unknowns out there, but hate to think, down the road, a year or two, all of a sudden, oh, we got more money, we can give another raise,
Yeah, you can.
or you can't give another
Yeah,
raise.
that's why it says maintain competitive salaries.
Well, right now, it's all across the nation, everybody's losing teachers. And it's not gonna, $500, hell, you could run a newspaper around the cemetery and make $500. And I don't know, I just think that we've got to show our employees that we want to give them something.
they would be very happy.
Yeah, they can,
Any of
that, well, $500.
Well, as a former single parent, I appreciated every extra dime I got. $500 made a difference in my family budget.
So my question is the general public going to be, I'm sure they will be happier with the higher, the less with B than they would with A, but would they be happy with A?
I mean, you're only talking,
I
you
would,
know, as opposed to not getting a reduction at all.
Yes.
I mean, at this point, I would think that 5% is better than 0%, but 7.5 is better too.
5% sounds like a token,
Right.
like you really didn't put much effort into it.
Well, so it's $500.
So I've seen this on other stuff.
I think that the terminology there potentially needs to sound different for everyone, because that person that's an employee, that works in maintenance, works as a teacher, teacher aide, whatever, and they see potentially $500. You know, whenever you say potentially $500 or more, or however we can address that, if there's options there to give more, that needs to be in the wording, I think.
Can we,
I think that was
Or whether it's
our
1,000.
idea of how much.
are we safe in saying minimum 500?
That's a
Minimum
very good.
five,
Yeah.
Minimum.
but I think it should say will include.
Mhm.
minimum five.
Yeah.
So they know they're getting five,
Right.
or minimum of
1,000.
1,000.
Whichever.
I think they need to know the amount.
What would be the estimated reduction in tax collections? And you know, if we had 1,007%, 7.5%,
Um,
what would be the reduced tax collections?
give me a minute.
I just been curious.
And I don't know, I mean, but you say the last levy, sometimes the public does say, they like it to go towards students.
Mhm.
I don't think they mind the overages, because it allows us to do things. I don't know that they look at it for employee benefit.
It's
You
about
gotta be
another
careful
600
how
in the,
Word.
They're looking
The
at
public.
5 compared to the 7.5 for
the
the
500.
Mhm.
500 to 1,000, and it's like $700,000 difference. When you think about it, it was like 881,000. And the 1157 is just the, that's the number of non-federal.
Yeah, it tells you what it costs.
Yeah, right there.
To give everybody one
It'll
in.
be, that's what it's gonna cost. The red on your tax collection sheet here, that's what it will cost us to maintain that budget. And that's what we will basically, what we lose, but we won't collect. The amount of money that's.
You're okay.
Yeah, so if we did option B at 7.5% with 1,000, you're looking at probably 2.6, 3.6 million, 3.7 million in reduction in the loss.
7.5 is 2.8.
That's with the 500.
500.
That's what 500 is.
Instead of
If
1,000.
you did 1,000, it would be around 3.6. Maybe just above 3.6.
The 1,000 is option A.
Right, no, I'm just saying if we change,
Oh,
yeah, if we
okay.
change option B to $1,000.
Which Mr. Hope mentioned.
If you think about their mortgage land, I mean, it's,
Now,
it doesn't
let's
make a
take,
difference.
and Mr., we had a
I'm still gonna pay
conversation,
my taxes and pay out the yin yang anyway, so.
we had a conversation, Monday morning in our meeting. And we did talk about some places that we could trim, some possibly some more money in the other levy column. Mr. Poole, with the amount of money that we're getting on step 7D in the state. that
You mean to pull it
we could-
down
We
with
could
the other-
shore some, we could pull some of that off of there and potentially make up for lost.
But how much would you pull from this budget?
Well, we're getting 900,000, increase by 900,000.
We already took some.
We already
Yeah.
took 5, so we could take, and then we took some of the, safety and security money that was being paid from that, moved up a line item. So I think we could take another 5 there.
Are you saying to shore?
That safety and
fund?
security money came
Yeah.
from the facility that we pulled out the
Yeah.
facility, so.
Yeah.
it's- I mean, what whatever
And
you
we're
guys
also,
decide.
we're
It's
also
just that-
increasing the permit for.
I know. I'm just being, greedy for our facilities, that's all.
Oh, yeah, well, that's, it's maintain facilities without a doubt,
That's all.
and safety.
But basically, facilities and safety together is 6.2, that's a $2.2 million increase.
Which again, the new Lincoln High School and the new Robert C. Byrd are getting all the, as an
Yeah,
I
example.
think you just need to decide how much you feel like you can lose
Yeah,
or
that's
not
exactly right.
collect
How much,
at this point.
how much can we not collect?
Now,
I'll tell you
Are
what.
you comfortable with?
I honestly, I can, you know, I can honestly live,
That's,
if you wanna go the 5% and the $500. If your word is good, that if we increase more money, then the employees will see.
5%.
You need 7.5%.
5% is
Okay, or
1,000.
7.5. Okay, if your word's good, that the employees, if we
Well,
increase.
my word is your word.
well, that's right. So you would be the one that would have to say
We
that.
need the terminology changed.
Yes, yeah, the terminology would have to reflect more of option C with the $500 minimum, $500 minimum. for option D.
What if you compromised at 750?
It's just a matter of numbers. So, you know,
I mean, that would reduce it a little bit. If it was 750 instead of 1,000, we could still do the 7.5%.
You can do that if we took some money from.
I think the key is gonna be,
That would be like.
what are we going to be able to accomplish with this money for the students, right? That's the goal. At the end of the day, it's got to be about the students
Yes.
and what we can do with this money for them. You know, I'm 100% behind giving our teachers and our staff increases as well, but not at the cost of sacrificing programs or anything we have.
Absolutely.
And that's why we've added some wording in the supplementation of the budget, where it talks about including coaches and interventionists, because those are hands-on.
We,
And
this
it's our student staff support.
she put in, so that's, there's always a funding stream for that.
Right, that's,
That we
that's.
never had before. And coaches was never really spelled out. People know that we're paying coaches out of it.
They like sports supported.
But it's also academic coaches. You see,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
coaches, and it's academic
Okay.
coaches.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That way we're covered if we never needed this thing.
I mean, if we do the 7.5%, you do the 750 raise, do we have to change any of the numbers that we already agreed on for student services?
No, she'd have to pull from the technology budget. Just wouldn't be as much. Just wouldn't be as much.
So it wouldn't be a pinch, or much of a pinch.
I'll be opposed to it.
Be poke.
I can do it. I can do it.
So we can go with 7.5 and 750.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Okay, so I'm gonna take. We're gonna go 1.2 million.
That 750 is almost like.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
That's when it comes to people out there that's working on that. Like, there's some heavy going before you know.
Exactly, the levy is at 104.79%.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
7.5%.
7.5% gets us under 100%.
We take 300,000 from the technology.
It does, like, and put more in, like, you want to be really looking at it.
Because some of that.
Todd, I think,
He just paid, he gets E-rate.
I think, yeah, you can see right there, yeah. Sure.
so that's, so it would be 300 and some thousand, you said?
Yeah, we then, take it to 1.2 million.
Phase one, okay.
Because also part of that also has, personnel in it.
Mhm.
So we can also take
Technology.
part of it.
So really, it's a matter of what we want to do with it, what option we want to go with. So we've got option A, option B, option B1, and option C.
B1, right,
This is
okay,
turn
well,
one. This is turn
Year
one.
seven.
I know.
Right.
All right, C's the no, no go,
C's the
right?
no.
Yeah, so it's easy.
10%, no guarantee.
Well, there went another,
So really, I think from what I'm hearing, everybody seems to want to go with option B or option B1. Right, so the option B is 7.5% reduction with the $500, or option B1, the 7.5% with $750.
And we're finished with A.
Yeah, and I don't hear anybody really wanting to go with A.
Well, I did until we had B1.
But I'm glad we did.
I'll compromise.
And so the line flexible, are you deciding on 750 or something? Minimum 500 or minimum
I think everybody's in for 750 and 7.5%.
At least that, right? I mean,
And we
Because,
can't really put it in the words there, because there's already something in place.
Say that again?
That's not good.
So we can't,
We can't put it in the words here. You can say that it's intended that we're going to do minimum of, but you can't put. I don't know, I might have to actually.
If you say minimum.
Yeah, if you say minimum,
Yeah, I wasn't clear on, but yes.
then that implies, yeah, if you put minimum, it applies, it could go up.
Okay. All right,
But what you
minimum
said-
of 7.
I was trying to say.
We need to get some businesses in here.
well, I would say, hey, if we don't use a whole lot of attorneys, there's extra money that frees up. Right? You can't ever have no attorneys.
So what did we do to make that work? You took,
Took 300 out of technology.
okay,
And then that'll give the 750 minimum raise.
okay.
I can tell you that I was at, spoke to a group that's studying on Monday. And I was just going to change the guys' name. And we did not call out the medical increase. And they were very excited.
You mentioned last time possibly looking at putting continuing education in this. Was that done?
It says salaries and benefits will improve and enhance.
So, when you-
Benefits could be that one,
so that could be something that we could, what we talked about was possible future
tuition reimbursement.
tuition reimbursements of education.
We want to make sure we have a pretty good policy.
Yeah, you have a strong policy.
Could be something that could come out of this fund right here, this line item right here.
okay, can we have a clarification where we're at and where we're going now?
B1 is what I believe everybody's, in the
750.
750,
7
minimum
minimum.
750,
Minimum,
Minimum.
with 7.5% reduction.
7.5% reduction.
Now, tax levy rate.
Budget calendar, we have to have it approved by the 26th.
Okay, so we should put it on the next meeting for approval.
If I have to get an attorney to look at it, it's, I'm not sure we can get
So we have to have,
it. We have, I think we have the 26th of the month before we drop. Yeah,
well, our next meeting is
it's
the
the
20th.
20th, which is next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Now, this
We had
doesn't,
one at Lake House with today, kind of,
Yes, we
he
get
said it looked great.
so this doesn't interfere with
He
their
said he's done.
medical law or all that?
No, that was
Still
the-
get that.
Shame on him.
So 1250 by
Two
2
more time on it.
What they're losing is 250. When it comes into it.
So it's really just the wording, can we call and just ask that question? Not down the road. I'll try and get back in.
I'm trying
Absolutely.
I can reach out to like,
Let's do 1,000.
yeah, I gotta write that down. She needs to reply back.
So do you want 7.5? I mean, is everybody okay with 7.5?
Well, we could put it on for action.
Yeah, in the wording.
Yes.
Not,
And the wording of the
you wouldn't
minimum of
have to
750.
action. You could just put it, you could put it on for action. She may not have the official document for the township to bring it.
We, right,
Yeah.
as long as we adopt the rates.
We'll put it on
Yes.
for action.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all.
We'll keep our wallpaper in the meantime.
Yes. All right. I think I might do that now, so.
Oh, here.
All the four dogs.
So-
She's okay.
So is this all under finance we're talking about right now?
Yes.
I have another question regarding finance. You know, I hear so much, and Todd, can I direct this to you? You know, what about this stuff, E-Tree?
E-Tree.
You know, yeah, is E-Tree up to where it's supposed to be for finance and everybody that's gotta get into E-Tree? I'm a lost soul in how legal E-Tree. But, you know, it's just like finance, you know, it ought to be automatic, every pay, everything, you know, everything shouldn't have to be redone, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just go into E-Tree and everything's already there, that they can just proceed quickly.
There's a lot of features in E-Tree, yeah.
What's that?
There's a lot of features in E-Tree, the forms and stuff, that's all it does, is just processes forms and stuff.
But I'm saying, is the process done to the point with E-Tree, that everything has been narrowed down and everything that has to be there is there? Because,
That's a program that evolves all the time. It's very flexible, so it grows.
but it's just like people getting paid. You know, I hear so many people complain about not getting paid when they should have got paid, or there was a mistake made, and everything comes back to E-Tree. It comes back to E-Tree. And like I said, you know what I know about technology. You know, you're putting the naturally in and plug it up with a needle. But I get tired of hearing these people say, well, if E-Tree, if things was on E-Tree like it's supposed to be, things would move much quicker.
E-Tree just processes forms and things.
It doesn't generate the check.
It doesn't generate payroll or anything like that, it just processes forms.
It's a record holder.
That's it.
There's additional features that we can add and work on to improve this process.
So in other words,
We actually had a discussion on Monday, did we not, in our supervisors meeting with Todd, about E-Tree and the flow.
Yeah, it's just a workflow, that's all it is.
He's working on,
But is
he's
it-
working on things.
okay, is it getting quicker or faster and all? I mean, I've heard someone talk about going in and checking on kids through the E-Tree and all that.
That's not what it does.
No,
Not for kids.
no, not at all.
It's just a workflow, it's no different than handing somebody a piece of paper. Same thing.
Except it is a database, and if we get the system set up, we can actually write reports. And have things that
It shows on the pay stubs, correct? It shows on the
It
pay
does.
stubs. Yeah, is that what you're talking about, then?
What's
Pay
that?
stubs? Like pay stubs?
Yeah, I mean, where people were saying, you know, they come up to, and I don't know anything about E-Tree. You know, I'm not gonna go climb a tree, is, you know, try and talk about E-Tree. You know, because I don't know anything about it. And it's a shame, but, they keep saying, well, you know, this, they said, well, it's because of the E-Tree, they can't get on, and, you know, it's behind and all that. And I said, I don't know. And I don't know, so if I don't know, I don't say anything. That's why I'm asking you. You're in charge of technology, I guess E3's all part of technology.
That, I mean, again, it just, all it does is, it just processes forms. That's all it does, and it stores records, and that's really all it is.
Okay, so shouldn't it get to a point like, it used to be when you got checks, you got the same check every month? You know, it was never late or it was never wrong, because they just printed them off and gave you your check. You know,
E-Tree has nothing to do with
Nothing
that.
to do with it.
that has nothing to do with,
It just shows your payroll stuff,
It just shows your stuff.
shows your stuff.
It brings in the time sheets from employees for service. So if a service person does not have any extra pay, their paychecks will be more even coming now that we've changed the 50 to 30 and deducting everything off of it.
but
But.
if they have extra duty or extra
That's
things,
where other.
That's what
other
slows it
people-
down?
Yes, that's what slows it down. And right now, under the old form, the old time sheet, it didn't differentiate between, you could only put one line in there. Like, so we have people that have like 2 extra duties and an extracurricular. Well, it was all lumping together, so you have to go in and find a contract and do all this extra work. And, I know we've worked to resolve that issue. The next step of that is to where, because under the old timesheet also, you had to open up every single timesheet, even if there was no additional pay. This new timesheet that was supposed to be up, and I think it is up, right? The new timesheet, actually, the supervisor has to click whether there's extra pay or not. If there's not extra pay, it gets filed. If there is extra pay, then that's when, so it's gonna cut out a lot of time, because you have to open it up and then you have to look at it to see if there's an extra pay. So that will help do us some time saver. The next step in the process is to actually get a report written that'll pull out those extra hours into a date, off of the database, and that's really what it is. You have it set up with the key fields, it becomes a database, and then you can pull that out, and export that out, and then you can apply the actual rates, because the rates are different. So we have an hourly rate for our standard hourly rate for employees based on our classification. Then you have an extra duty rate, which is one in state code, 1/7 of their daily rate. And then you have an extracurricular rate, which is another rate. And then when we get into overtime, you have to do a weighted average of all their hours. So, and then that's another reason we don't want, I thought it was very strange when I got here that they had hourly rates on timesheets. Timesheets never have hourly rates. That's not a standard practice anyway. And then there's calculating numbers for people, so people think they're going to get paid X, but when it's said and done, they're really getting paid Y or Z. And it changes every time because of the different amount of hours you have regular, extra duty, and extracurricular. I tried that to explain it as best I can.
well, I mean, like, when somebody asks me something, I can't answer nothing. And I mean, I could say, well, go see Todd Poole, or go see you, but then the next thing you know, you got people coming, And I just thought if everything was up and correct and everything was online where it was supposed to be, then people wouldn't be coming saying, I got cheated or I got shorted or whatever. They're never gonna tell you if they got overpaid. But they're always
Some
gonna-
did, some did.
So, okay.
But that is also what's misleading about having an hourly rate on the timesheet as well. Because it doesn't know how to calculate it.
Who invented this E-tree? Where did it come from? State?
Oh, no, it's an outside source, it's actually Softbox is the company. And, it was first here in Harrison County, and they set it up as being just a file folder. Files, the front filing system.
File cabinet.
A file cabinet, basically. And I'm trying to get it to we are trying to get it to the next level to where it's actually creating efficiencies in operations. We're working on it.
Could you go back to when I coached to see if I got the right extracurricular?
That's too far, that's too far down.
I got paid weekly, very weekly. 52 cents an hour.
All right.
I'm not far off.
Okay,
Okay.
Todd, whatever you told me, thank you.
Any other questions?
I've had enough questions.
Does anybody have anything else on the levy? So if not, we'll go forward with the 7.5% with the wording, a minimum of $750 in regards to supplement of the budget. And then we can go to the next item, which is personnel matters. To open it up, put it on the floor, is there a motion to approve personnel matters as presented?
There's one meeting before that Sheila Copeland received notice that she accepted the job elsewhere.
Is there a motion to approve personnel and pull Sheila Copeland, Title I teacher, from the agenda? Or, sorry, from the personnel agenda? Got to have a motion and a second to talk about it.
Make a motion, we accept personnel agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now we're open for discussion. I know there was some discussion that we were wanting to talk about in regard to the job descriptions. So we were
If
looking.
you have hard copies.
Yes. We're looking for the job descriptions for the coordinator, secondary curriculum, and we were looking, the reason we were looking is because when we talked about reduction of the CTE position, and accepted that resignation last week, my thought was, do we need to refill that position? Can that position be, reduced through attrition in the county office to reduce the position up here? So I know that I had spoken with Mary Francis, and she had some questions about the math position that we've discussed, which I haven't actually put on the agenda yet.
Do you have a,
I have the copies here.
Yeah, we just come up with
Yeah.
an idea.
So this is, oh, you want to go ahead and talk about the idea?
Well, yeah, what we, both prior to even, we always look at every job when people make it, to see if they should be here or not here. And that one, we thought we could streamline, and the reason was, is that currently we have, Julie is administrative assistant over elementary, we have one coordinator, two specialists, and we went that route because specialists in their job description are more the ones that are out in the schools. When a teacher has difficulty or somebody needs support, we can send the specialists out, and those two are out all the time. That's their job, to be out supporting teachers. So when this one vacated, actually, Mrs. Knight came to me, she said, why can't we have a specialist, because the requests are secondary teachers are needing support. They really like, they see our elementary people out there working all the time. Why can't our secondary people have the same support? Jerry's doing that with the CTE, the business teachers and that, but we don't really have anybody else as coordinators. So we was going to reduce that. The contract is a $220 on our specialists. So in the secondary, we would have Pam as the administrative assistant, one coordinator, which would be Shelley McGee, and then two specialists. And they would be the ones working out in the classroom. We looked at Scott's duties, which is not all just CTE, because he did other things. And these job descriptions are usually more general. But, so Pam said to me, she said, I can take over that CTE budget, which just seems to be heartache for lots of people, doing the budget, keeping all the grants and stuff. And then Jerry would assume some of the CTE that Scott's doing, but if you want to keep the outreach and the internships and those kind of things that Jerry's currently doing, it would be difficult for her to absorb all of that and then still have that piece and being out to support our teachers. So it's really ultimately up to you. It would be a reduction in the job from 220. We were looking at making it math. We had that discussion at math. We don't want to push from our math classrooms, but on the other hand, we've got to do math adoption, and they're asking for support. So I don't know how you fit both of those, because the math person's probably going to bid on it. We could have somebody from outside the system bid, that may have a math background of some kind, but that's a tough, I mean, that's a tough one, because when you pull from here, it's like that in all of our jobs. So that was the thought, to streamline both of those departments. And to provide support to secondary, I mean, I do hear that secondary teachers do not have support. So.
Do we know why Mr. Davis left?
I actually had a conversation with him, he asked me to keep it between him and I, but overarching, it was not the job he felt it would be. He thought he would be out more. In fact, he said it would have been a specialist type where he wasn't here tied down, because there's a lot of administrative tasks when you're doing the budget, ordering supplies for the CTE classrooms, all of that. He said he thought it would be more of him going out doing PD and that, and it was not the job he thought it would be. And he asked me to, that's overarching, and the other was, he felt, there were some things that we talked about as well.
Is there some reason why Dr. Beckett isn't ordering CTE stuff?
Well, Dr. Beckett's the original idea of that, it actually came to my office through Heidi before she left, that we needed someone, and I think Mr. Henry was really a proponent of it, was we wanted to grow job shadowing. It was in addition to what we were doing, because we couldn't do that, and to support business teachers and some of the things. So her job really has been to grow internships, shadowing. That takes a lot of legwork to get out and talk to businesses and to do that stuff. So she was not doing the ordering and the budget piece of CTE. She did go into classrooms. She's been working with some of the simulated classroom jobs, but she would have to assume some of the, she would have to assume most of those duties. Well, also, she's a 220. She's not a full year-round employee either.
And looking at the math, the secondary math, the curriculum specialist person.
Yeah.
Okay, after number 13 on his job description, actually after number 14. He has CTE duties. That individual has CTE duties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 4 of which overlap with Geraldine's. So are you taking them from Geraldine and giving them this individual CTE duties? Or why are we overlapping duties? Just to, excuse my idleness, just to fill the numbers? Because 15, number 15, where it says administer the required CT assessment, is Geraldine's 24. Administer required CTE assessment. 17 says maintain CTE inventory. Her number 12 is distribution and inventory of CTE instructional materials, supplies, and equipment. Number 20 is maintain current knowledge of pertinent local whatever, and that's 20, and hers is 20.
I think they all would have to do the 20. I mean,
Okay,
that's with the, yeah.
But hers is even more, but why would this individual have to do it if they're really not doing CTE? Because she's doing all of those ones right there. And number 21 says assist in the maintenance of required data, and that's her number 16, assist in the maintenance of required data. So it's like we're just filling up the math person with some CTE that Geraldine's already doing? I'm just asking.
Would you like to talk to that, about how that all works with the?
What has been happening is Dr. Beckett hasn't done those things very quickly. Mr. Davis did those. Dr. Beckett's.
That's not on his job description.
Didn't see that at all. I
Yeah.
was looking
He
at.
has no CTE.
And when I came in, I had no idea who had divided those things and Dr. Beckett has taken on the liaison position, where she's been working with getting work-based experience or internships and job shadowing. She's also going into middle schools, getting career exploration in the middle schools, in addition to working with all of the business teachers, doing professional development for them. The pieces that Mr. Davis did were the ones that were like very, very intense, required a lot of work and a lot of time that she doesn't have right now, that she's going to continue with what she's doing. So,
So then she's not really doing her job.
Hmm.
Then she's not really doing her job.
all of the things listed on there, those things were divided out by Ms. Rute.
This hasn't been revised.
So it
since
may, yeah,
2010.
it's not written down. She's doing her job, it just wasn't written down.
But not according to, it is
Not
written
according to
down.
Job-
It is written down.
Our job descriptions, and Pam can speak for that, are all,
You see what I'm saying?
jobs
Yeah.
get divided up, we don't go back and adopt the job description. Like you say, you gotta take that on. We've moved 504s from one department upstairs. We didn't go back and adjust that and redo a job description.
So then who's gonna do the rest of, who's gonna do Scott's duties?
That's what we're asking.
Because, but it's not, but they're not here in the math job.
Jerry can assume, you can do the budget, Jerry can assume those duties. It's just a matter of whether you want somebody to have time to go out and be in the classroom.
Okay.
That's
No,
where we
the
are.
duties that are listed on Scott's official functions and duties. Who does these then? If Scott was doing,
They'll have to-
and I hate to say,
they'll have to be divided
I don't
up.
mean to say names, I'm sorry,
They'll have to be-
but that's how you identify positions.
But it's the same thing, but if you look at the position Mr. Davis had, a lot of them are duplicated with Mrs. Knight.
Yes.
Right.
So
You don't need
Because
that
she's
position.
ultimately
So there may be-
responsible.
what if we moved Dr. Beckett to a 250, or if she would even be open to that, but
You would have to change her title from a specialist. She would just have to be a coordinator like these. Because that's what we've worked to realign.
if we moved her to coordinator, does that take her away from what she's been doing with the middle schools and high schools then?
They're-
Because we still don't know what Shelley does. What is Shelley doing?
Mrs. McKee, she does all of the AP, she does all of the textbook ordering, she does the credit recovery, she does full credit.
So she can actually order the CTE books.
She can, yes.
I mean, if she's already doing it for everything else.
The problem is, I'm not sure that she knows enough about CTE right now to go in and take care of ordering all of those textbooks.
Wouldn't that be where
And doing
Jerry
all of
comes
those
in?
things.
Yeah, Jared can help her.
Because that's on her,
I mean, do they
That's
need
on
to,
her.
do they need, is it their turn for textbooks? this
that's
time?
on her thing
We
too.
usually ordered, we're always ordering stuff for CT.
Yes, always.
Because the budget is.
Right now, I've got a list of things that people are wanting me to
I mean, you're
look
looking at all of
for
our
CTE.
ag programs, all of our
Mhm.
business programs, ProStar, I mean, it's
Entrepreneurship.
Like,
Yeah.
lead the way.
I think we can kind of realign this without having that position.
we can definitely realign and not have that position. You will lose some of the out in the schools.
But it sounds like Mr. Davis didn't have the ability to get out in the schools all that much anyway.
I guess she's talking about Jerry.
Oh,
Jerry. Because Jerry will have to
Yes,
assume,
Jerry will have to.
yeah, making sure that all of our CTE teachers.
Well, but
And then they're
But it's
learning-
already in
if the
there.
ordering, if the ordering's the real big thing, and what's Shelby's last name? If Ms. McGee is doing that, and that's so onerous, then and if we extend Dr. Beckett's contract, it might work.
I just can't see extending the contract for another 30-some days.
It's cheaper than a full person, way cheaper.
With benefits and everything, yeah.
Whatever they-
Thousands less.
You can't just extend their contract and give them a pay raise. That job would have to be created. You
Yeah,
have to
right,
bid on, because that's giving someone a pay raise.
right.
So we have to be careful how you want to.
Mhm.
I think we go back and realign some of the duties and all that, and then look at it again next year in personnel season. See how it works out through the year with a realignment and duties, and then go back, and if it works out okay, we leave it alone. If it doesn't work out okay, we need to add a person, next personnel season, we then go back and look to do that at that point.
Mr. DeVon.
Yes, sir.
How many math teachers are we short in our county right now? I mean, is that number 4 that we're hearing, is that a correct number?
Well, there's 4, so
So.
Yeah.
So we're short. So far.
That, once consolidated, could be less.
Right.
And then we could revisit the math specials.
Yeah, I wouldn't think we're gonna That's who's bid on the job, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's gonna be a math position.
Somebody's-
You're gonna
Have to be a math
somebody,
teacher,
Person to
yeah.
do it.
I mean, and I don't want to inhibit one of our staff to bid on that position just because we don't want to come out of the classroom
Maybe,
Right.
and hire somebody out of county because we don't want them to come out of the classroom.
I guess the question is going to be what type of support can be offered without having this position, this math position?
we don't want to-
Professional development.
Yeah, I mean, what can they do, you know, outside of having this?
What we've discovered, even with our specialists, and they do a lot, you can speak to this better than I can. We're training a lot of days in the summer because we're trying to get, because they're all 220s. So we want to do all this PD and offer all these things for employees. And these employees leave in June and don't come back till August. So they work in the classrooms all year with teachers. And we'll try to work with them. So that's the thing with the 220 contract. They're really gone off most of the summer. So anything for like, Dr. Backus that she does, I mean, she has to wait till she comes back. She's not preparing and working all summer to be prepared to go in. So there'll be a big piece of time there that you wouldn't have somebody. It'll just be her and Shelley working on secondary. That's. Okay.
Of course, I'd really throw something into the game with the idea that I feel that we need administrative assistant for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. That really throws something in.
Yeah.
Because I firmly believe it. We have one for elementary.
Well, see, we
We used to.
reduced, if you
Yeah,
think
we used to have
back,
that at one time.
from 5 or 6 years ago, they were all assistant superintendents, and I have reduced all those contracts back. And we have Mr. Lopez as the only assistant. So even Julie and Pam, I mean, they're administrative assistants, we're back to, so they're not paid according to, previous folks that were, because they were all assistant superintendents.
Yeah,
Yeah, at
but,
one time there were 4
Mhm.
with,
But-
yeah.
also,
So we've tried to really reduce what we could reduce in a line. That was one of my first goals in this job, was to realign
Do we,
county office, and that was.
do we not
We want your own deed.
receive a certain amount of money
Actually.
from the state for assistant superintendent?
Yeah, they're wrong. Everybody here.
No, I don't think the
All of our
superintendents
jobs,
are
that's the
reimbursed.
next thing.
Assistant, assistant superintendent.
Yes, I don't think
So I think that comes out of our county. budget.
Just the
I think
budget.
that's where
Yeah,
it
it's
all came from.
all of our job
The reason we ended up with.
That's hired under 240.
What's that?
Because it's just time.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Nobody here.
That's
We're
our
either
next
told-
two, that's a good job duty or job description.
What's that?
250.
Well, I was just saying, Scott's job description that he was hired under says 240, but they say
County
it's
office,
250.
we either have 250s or we have 220s, and they're the specials.
I think before moving forward, these need to be updated to be reflected, to be correct.
Well, that, in fact, if you look at Scott Davis's
What,
job description, his immediate supervisor is Jimmy.
Lopez, assistant
Mr.
superintendent.
Lopez says assistant superintendent.
Well, that job used to fall under an assistant superintendent.
Right.
What's that?
This isn't right.
So when John's,
That's the reason.
Oh, she's not-
they should be updated, I think. So-
well, that's the next thing after policies. There's hundreds of them.
Yes, there are. And they're in need of
They are
updating.
absolutely in need of updating,
Absolutely,
yes.
yes.
And it's another, because they'll have to all come to you for approval.
He does.
So they're all.
Looking forward to another binder.
Another,
Okay, just checking.
all of them, and even our service.
I just bought new bookshelf, I'm ready.
So
Even all the service.
Where are we?
all.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve personnel agenda and the job descriptions. But if we were to change that, it would have to be amended.
Well, yeah, you can't, yeah, this is just,
That's not,
this is
it's
just
not
a
approval,
discuss.
it's just discussion.
You're just approving
We would just be approving the personnel agenda with the removal of
the.
Sheila Copeland.
Yeah.
The rest of this is just discussion. There's really no direction at this point we've given in regard to what to do with these positions other than changing the job titles. Or not job titles, I'm sorry, updating the job responsibilities and job duties.
Or if we don't repost, then the jobs will be assigned to the ones there, and
The
then
duties will have to be reassigned from Mr. Davis's previous position. And we would have to look at,
I will say that the State Department's push is for CTE in the middle school, CTE in the high school. I mean, the direction we were going with the shadowing and internships in 2026, the state is requiring that in all of our high schools. And right now, it's a pilot. So in 2026, we're going to be required to provide internship shadowing in our high schools. It is going to be a big change for some of our high schools, that we allow kids to go out and work and shadow and do that. That's in 2026, it was just passed. Next year is supposed to be a pilot year, and how we're gonna make that happen. They're already doing pilot CTE middle schools, and that's the next step, and Jerry just started that, getting into our middle school. So it's going to be, that's the direction the state's
Could
going.
you, and I made this statement, and I may be totally wrong, but, Mr. Gibson, was he not a math teacher?
I don't know.
I don't think you
I know Mark Jones,
See, I always thought he was a math
Renee's
teacher.
math. We have a lot that are administrators that are math.
Yeah.
Chemistry.
Renee Matthews.
Yeah, we had a grade in math.
Well, the only reason why I said
I
that
think
is,
he was science and biology.
I thought maybe such a thing that you could maybe, if he was a math teacher, maybe work him in working with the others to where if there was a situation where he could make a call to a school, if there's a math issue or where he could,
He's biology and science.
biology and science.
So if we got a science and biology.
I don't know why, in my mind, I thought he was math certified.
Man.
One of the things that principal asked, when we did our checkout at the end of the school year, I asked everyone, what can I do? What can I do to help you? And they all said, we need help with math. And they looked at the 1, 2 data.
Scott told me that too, that he was getting pulled more into trying to help like they were calling for math support and trying to get them, but that wasn't his area either. He told,
It
he,
was their.
yeah,
Yeah.
and all the things that Grant did.
Grant did, he did a lot of tests, creating tests for going from 8th grade to 9th grade, so that they can make sure that students were placed appropriately, as well as benchmarking for different levels in the high schools and in the middle schools, so that they have those types of resources. And that was one thing that the new high school preschool in particular said to me. We have wonderful teachers, but they still need some extra support. And so that was my premise behind trying to follow along here with what they were doing in elementary to get coach involved, the specialist involved, community involved, spend time, particularly when we have some shortage of math teachers that also.
And I think that's great, but I don't, you know.
It's a catch-22.
Catch-22.
It is.
You know, what Mrs. Smith is saying as well. And, you know, what I like to see is realignment of, I see it all the time, every couple of years, realignment of positions, realignment of responsibilities, realignment of duties. What my big thing is, I don't want to see, you know, somebody like, you know, in a science capacity, you know, working on social studies or, you know what I mean? I want to make sure that the job.
That's why we have
duties align
Karen,
together,
Karen was math and
right, so.
Stephanie was writing in ELA. And they could get out there and really,
Mr. Vaughn, I just don't think at this time we can take somebody out of a classroom that has, I'm just throwing out 200 students a day and bring them, and then we're going to put a substitute in that job that isn't math. There's a good chance it will be math, and so we'd have them working now. And send this person out around the county to help out teachers. That's the problem right there. We're losing a math teacher that has 200 students a day, that has them every day, for instance, at least for a semester in high school or whatever. Could be that they're in middle school or elementary and they have them every day. So we can't afford to do that, you know, in our county at all.
I just.
Because that'd be number 5. We can't be at 4.
but we did
so-
discuss that. We're like, who would this person be? And we don't want to hurt a classroom.
That's my story.
Right.
Yeah, that was just my thought on the matter. I mean, obviously, I asked Superintendent Stubbs to bring it for everybody to discuss. That's one of the reasons we put it on the agenda, so that everybody could kind of give their thoughts on the matter and what we as a board would want to do and support, go forward. There's no action for it tonight, so, you know, if we want to ask, you know, to bring back something at a later date, we can do that as well.
So, my understanding is that we will not post this at this point.
At this point, no. Maybe we can discuss it in the future.
Yeah. And we'll absorb those duties.
And investigate what would it look like for Jerry to have, Dr. Beckett to have, you know, 250 a day. If that's something that would be, or that position, excuse me. To investigate what that position would be at 250.
It would be pretty much this job with all of what she's doing. It would just be that job.
And the parts Mr. Davis was doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you would get her to a 250. You just would eliminate her job, put her in the coordinator. And then Mrs. Knight would have,
This
would be
is-
Mrs. Knight and 2 coordinator, yes.
Which didn't, what they had before.
And one of the reasons the secondary coordinator was changed to have the secondary, because they didn't, well, I think that happened, well, when Grant left. Because we didn't want to pull math people, so we kind of was bringing in people, and, you know, there was concern that we didn't have somebody that had a math background. But that was that's one of the concern. I don't know how you've been a math person, honestly. Ever.
With those
But
duties
not
going to
taken.
secondary, that includes 6 through 12 anyway. So that CTE going to the middle school, that would still be covered.
I mean, it would be easier for Dr. Beckett to absorb more if she was a teacher as dignity.
Mhm.
I mean, you're it's very different.
She's a
That doesn't mean
go-getter.
that she
She works
choose to do
hard.
that.
Any further discussion, any topics, any concerns? So on the floor is the agenda with the removal of Shirley. Sheila. I'm not on my computer.
It's always Shirley.
Oh, sure, okay. All right, so all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Board member comments. Mr. Tucker?
I'm sure that all of our employees appreciate the time we put into this, to study this levy. Hopefully that the folks out in the public appreciate that too. We'd love to go to that 10 to 15% reduction, but it's tough to do that in 7.5. I think that's a very good compromise.
Yes, sir.
No, I've had nothing,
Well, it's been an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing this levy once we get it all polished up and stuff. I'm excited about what's in it for the kids and their families and our employees.
I just want to say welcome back, and hopefully the teachers are having a great week this week, getting ready for the little kiddos coming next week. And I've seen a lot of Facebook posts here and there about starting school and what teachers look like when they're starting school. Some are happy, some are not, but some are really gung-ho and some are not. But, so I just want to say congratulations and looking forward to a great school year, and looking forward to seeing more first day of school pictures next week.
Yeah.
Mr. Dorner, you sent something out about the academy. How many students was enrolled at the academy?
And that
Like
makes
I
sense.
said.
Oh, no. Yeah, I think superintendent's also.
Was the numbers right,
I
wrong?
don't know, it was just something.
Oh, I thought it came, I'm sorry, I thought it came.
That was just one
It was
of us.
I'm waiting on the homework. I still haven't received goals. Superintendent,
Oh,
put more names for the levy. Now that we have the levy rate set, we voted upon, I'd like to get the committee together and start getting them some kind of direction on what they can and can't do, our involvement in what we can and can't do.
We had Jason Long here today for another issue.
You know,
Talked to him a little bit about that. And he's going to send him a sheet on what you're allowed to do. He said as a superintendent, I can go out and say, vote for the levy. I'm the only person that can say that. So,
We can provide.
but we can do
information.
fact sheets only, and we can run those here, like we can make copies of fact sheets, but nothing else.
And I think the fact sheets that come from us can go out to the committee, and they can, I've already heard some creative ideas, like, one gentleman told me that I think it would be a good idea to put maybe some of the levy items on scoreboards. I thought that was a great idea. People see the levy stuff on football.
Well, and some schools have the running messages too.
And the ones that don't will be asking for this.
Right, the ones that don't have displays, right, so.
No, those are all,
Yeah, they'll be asking for that.
they're private funds.
We'll put it in the list.
The school didn't pay for those.
remember,
Um,
you broke it when you went.
So,
Goals
yes,
next week?
Goals next week, get them to me, I'll put them, then put them together and we'll go into executive.
Do you want us to email that to you or what?
You know, give me the name and the phone number of the person who does what, I'll let you make a couple people. So,
Can we nominate students?
I don't see why not. I really think that might not be a bad idea. I don't see why they couldn't be a part of it. Be a part of the community as well.
I ran into a couple backpackers, they said they was in.
Alright, I did have one more thing. Let's see, I got it written down. I didn't, right now, that's all right. Alright,
Tell us, Andrew.
yeah, it's with my computer. At this moment, we'll take a motion to adjourn. So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Done. Let me say no.
Jim Kirby, I thought.
I already did. All right, took care. She's gonna